Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Friday, January the 28th. Now we do have a big Friday night slate. We got an 11 gamer, so I do want to, kind of go through this somewhat quickly, try and go ahead and get started. Just before we do get started, breaking down each game, talking through each game. Would appreciate it if you guys would hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button as well if you are new here, and if you have not yet, go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Go sign up for PrizePicks. Use code NOAH when you do, and PrizePicks will give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. PrizePicks is a very simple DFS site to use. They're more of a player prop based site, so they're more focused on player props, picking over or under on a player's projection. As you can see, they do already have a lot of stuff posted for Friday or for Friday's NBA games. They're going to get a ton more projections posted. You'll see points, rebounds, assists, 3-pointers made, points, rebounds, assists added up all together. They also have fantasy point projections as well. Again, you're just picking the over or the under. Taking a look at their, you can take a look at their entire board. Usually all their projections will be posted, sometime Friday morning. Take a look at what they offer. If you see, some picks you like and you have a strong lean one way or the other, over or under, you make 2 picks, or you can make up to 5 picks and you can win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. If you guys want to sign up over there, use code NOAH. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you sign up with my code. And if you guys want some of my favorite picks each day on PrizePicks, along with the entries that I'm playing myself, I do give all those out on Patreon. So if you want to check out the Patreon, it's linked down below in the description. You can get all my updated DFS content on Patreon, along with all of my PrizePicks plays, which I do post daily. But yeah, guys, let's take a look at Friday's 11 game slate. We're going to start off with the first game of the night, the Magic and the Pistons. So this is one that I'm really not excited about. I don't see a ton, in terms of DFS relevance that we're going to want to go to here. Now on the Detroit side, like Cade Cunningham, I think is a viable GPP play. Cade Cunningham actually has shown some big time upside lately. Had a huge game against Denver last game, put up a very nice 69 DraftKings points, played 40 minutes, had 34 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 blocks, 2 steals. Cade Cunningham has shown big time upside this year. He's just been really inconsistent. The Pistons, as a whole, as a team, are just really, really bad. They're going to get blown out a lot, but this is a spot against Orlando, 2 really bad teams going up against each other. You would think this is a spot where Cade would play his full minutes, and Detroit keeps this game close. This should be a close game. So I think from Detroit, Cade Cunningham's in play. Jeremy Grant has a chance to return, I think, at some point. I don't know if he's going to be ready to return for Friday's game, but if he does come back, that'll definitely take me off of guys like Sadiq Bey and Hamidou Diallo. But on this slate specifically, 11 games, I wouldn't really go into those guys anyway. I think from Detroit, it's really just Cade Cunningham as a GPP dart throw, and that's probably it from the Pistons. And then on the Magic side, the Magic, they've been a really frustrating team lately. Cole Anthony, he's had some terrible games lately, but he finally looked good last game against the Clippers, 32 minutes and 52 DraftKings points. I want to say Cole Anthony's a good play today, but he has just been so inconsistent this season that I don't feel great about him. I don't think we're guaranteed to get 40, 50 DK points here. I think there is still a low floor on Cole Anthony. I will say ever since Jalen Suggs has returned, that has really hurt Cole Anthony's fantasy value and his fantasy upside. He just hasn't been as productive. He also hasn't been playing high 30s minutes. He's been kind of getting low 30s minutes. Now against Detroit, I think this is a pretty good spot for Cole Anthony. So at 6,800, he is definitely in play for me on this slate. Outside of Cole Anthony, I don't see a ton else I like from Orlando. Jalen Suggs has been playing really well lately, but now that his price is at 6,100, I think at that point I would just rather pay up for Cole Anthony, who on the season is a better point per minute player. Franz Wagner in the mid-range I think is okay, 5,600. If this game's close, Wagner is going to play mid to high 30s minutes, and he's another guy that's kind of been inconsistent lately, but at least the last few games he's looked a lot better, been more consistent. Again, the minutes have still been there. He has played at least 34 minutes in 4 straight games now, so 5,600 for Franz Wagner. I think he's actually a pretty solid play today. Him and Cole Anthony, I think, are both viable. That's probably it from Orlando, though. It looks like Markelle Fultz maybe has a chance to return at some point. I don't think it's going to be for today. I don't know why DraftKings has him listed as questionable, because I don't think he's returning anytime soon. But yeah, I think that's probably it from the Magic. I think Anthony and Wagner are the 2 guys that stand out most from this team. But we can move on to the next game, talk about Boston and Atlanta. So in Boston today, I don't see a ton here that I love. Now, it is a pretty good spot. Atlanta has not been playing that good, good defense this year. They've been pretty bad defensively. I think Atlanta's also been playing at a decent pace. They've been about middle of the pack in pace. Tatum and Jaylen Brown, both these guys always have upside. On this slate, 11 games, I don't think either one stand out as great plays to me. 10-1 for Tatum. I think he's probably priced to where he should be. Ceiling is obviously there, but don't he's not like a top stud for me when you have other guys that you can pay up for, like Jokic is on this slate. You have Giannis on this slate. Like, there's other guys I'd rather be spending up for. But I think Tatum is fine. I think Jaylen Brown is fine as well. Between Tatum or Brown, I probably would prefer Tatum if I could get to him. But, a good matchup against Atlanta. These guys are both viable. They both have upside. I don't see too much else, though, I like from Boston outside of Tatum and Brown. Like, Robert Williams at 7K. Like, he's coming off some big games, but 51 DK points last game at Sacramento. I probably won't chase that, especially at 7K. Like, I think Williams is priced where he should be. Schroeder, no interest with, Marcus Smart back. Horford, I don't really like his price tag. It's really just the top two guys here, Tatum and Brown. And then on the Atlanta side, Trae Young, 10-6, another guy that's just kind of like tough to prioritize on this slate. It's a really tough matchup against Boston. Boston has some good defenders. Overall, they're a really good defensive team. Can Trae Young still go out there and put up a massive game? He absolutely can. But on this slate, does he stand out as one of the best pay-up options? I don't think so. Like, there's just other guys I'd rather be spending up for. So not a ton of interest in Trae. Clint Capella at 6,900. Like, the price tag looks good on Clint Capella, but the minutes have just not been there. Really, since he's come back from injury, they've been really, kind of keeping his minutes in check. He really hasn't seen much of a minute ceiling. Last 3 games, just 26, 26, and 21 minutes. So until we see more minutes from Capella, he's kind of tough to trust. John Collins at 6'7", like, doesn't really stand out to me. The rest of Atlanta, I don't have much interest in. Hunter, Herter, Bogdan are all healthy now. Bogdan had a really good game off the bench last game, but they said they were going to limit him to about 22 to 24 minutes, and he played 23 minutes. I'm guessing that Bogdan maybe plays more minutes today, but I still don't think he's like a great value or anything. So that's probably it from Atlanta. Overall, there's not a ton that I really like on the Hawks today. Moving on to the next game, the Lakers and the Hornets. So I will actually be going to this game, and I will not be streaming on Friday because I will be at this game. I'm super excited for this game. It should be a really fun game to watch and should be a great game for DFS purposes. Now, on the Lakers side, we got to watch the injury report here because it is a back-to-back for the Lakers. LeBron did not play on Thursday on the back-to-back. We don't know yet if he's playing Friday or not. I think there's a pretty good chance LeBron plays today. I think they just kind of held him out Thursday because it was a back-to-back and they wanted him to play Friday. We'll have to wait and see with LeBron. Anthony Davis did play Thursday and actually played really well. He played big minutes too. On a back-to-back, does Anthony Davis play today? Like, I really don't know. I think there's a good chance that one of LeBron or AD sits. I think the more likely scenario is that AD sits and LeBron plays. But man, like, the Lakers are a really tough team to break down right now until we get an updated injury report here. I would be very surprised if both LeBron and AD sit, but you really never know. The report from the beat writers was that both LeBron and AD's availability, is not determined right now. Like, they really just don't know. It's a true question mark here. On the Lakers side, like, if everyone is in, it's a really good matchup. Like, I think LeBron would be a pretty good play here against this fast-paced Hornets team in what should be a really high-scoring game. If LeBron does play, I think he'd look pretty good. Obviously, he'd look even better if AD were to sit on the back-to-back. If LeBron and AD both sit, then, Westbrook, he was terrible Thursday night. I had a lot of interest in Westbrook on Thursday's slate after LeBron got ruled out. I would be fine going right back to Westbrook today. I mean, especially if LeBron and AD are both out, like, Westbrook's going to be a slam dunk. I know he's been so bad this year, but without LeBron and AD, you would think he just would take on a massive workload, would get a ton of usage. It's a great matchup as well. So I really like Westbrook in a scenario where both those guys are out. You could definitely look to some of these other guys too. Like, if LeBron and AD both sit, like, it's just going to change the whole slate. Westbrook's going to look great. Malik Monk's going to look great. Carmelo Anthony's going to look great. There's going to be value to go to. Guys like THT, even maybe Stanley Johnson, Dwight Howard. Like, there's just going to be so many viable plays from the Lakers if LeBron and AD both sit. But, for now, I think the most likely scenario is one of these two guys play. If that's the case, there's not going to be a ton that stands out from the Lakers outside of, LeBron if he plays. If LeBron's out again, then obviously, we could go to Westbrook. We could go to the guys that we, were on Thursday's slate. But again, I'm going to this game. I'm going to be at this game. So I really hope that, like, everyone plays because I really want to see LeBron play. He's one of my favorite players. Want to see AD play. But we'll have to watch the injury report. It's going to be, something we keep an eye on throughout the day Friday. But then on the Charlotte side, so really good matchup here for Charlotte. I mean, again, like, this is just such a good game for DFS purposes. I don't know what the total is in this game, but I imagine this game's probably going to have a super, super high total just because both these teams have been playing at a really fast pace this season. I think it's a great spot for LaMelo. LaMelo's coming off a huge game last game against the Pacers where he played 38 minutes, had a triple-double, put up 69 Draftkings points. Like, LaMelo, he's been a frustrating player to roster this year. He's been really inconsistent. But last game, that showed, like, the upside that LaMelo has. When he's on, like, he can put up huge, huge games. We know he's going to stuff the stat sheet when he's on the floor. He's going to get rebounds. He's going to get assists. He'll play big minutes if it's a close game. He went nuts against the Lakers earlier this year for what it's worth. 70 DraftKings points in 41 minutes. This game did go to overtime, but yeah, 70 DraftKings points last time these teams played. And I think LaMelo is a great play here. Love LaMelo on this slate. I think he's way too cheap for the matchup. He's one of my favorite plays at first look. And I think on Yahoo, LaMelo looks great over on Yahoo as well, $38. One of my favorite point guards. And again, one of my favorite plays in general today. Then you got the other Charlotte guys we could look to. So Gordon Hayward got put in COVID protocol, so he will be out today. And Kelly Oubre is questionable. With Gordon Hayward out, that does solidify big minutes for guys like Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier, P.J. Washington should play more as well. I think Bridges and Rozier are both fine mid-range options here. Again, the matchup is so good; it should be such a fast-paced, high-scoring game that I could definitely see multiple Hornets doing really well today. Rozier at 7-6, in this type of game, fast-paced game where he should be able to get up a lot of shot attempts. The Lakers in terms of like guarding, shooting guards and guys that can score. We've seen guys that can score have really big games against the Lakers this year, so definitely like Rozier as a more of a tournament play. Kelly Oubre, if he plays, I'm not that interested in. With Gordon Hayward out, he probably does play like mid to high 20s minutes. But again, like last game, he just couldn't miss a shot, 58 DraftKings points. He's got that kind of ceiling, but at 5,700, I kind of think he's priced where he should be. I think P.J. Washington and Cody Martin both are viable value plays we can go to. P.J. Washington probably plays like mid to high 20s minutes off the bench at 5K. I think he's a fine option. I think Cody Martin should start once again in place of Gordon Hayward. Probably plays like into the 30s in minutes. I know last game I think he got some of his minutes cut just because it was a blowout. But he, normally when he starts, he plays around 30 minutes. And at 4,400, if we get 30 minutes from Cody Martin today in a really good matchup, I mean, he could definitely pay off his cheap $4,400 salary. So lots to like on the Hornets today. Lots to like in this game in general. Going to be one of the best games to target on the slate for sure. And, we're going to have to pay attention to the injury report on the Lakers side because that's really going to dictate, a lot of plays on this slate. But let's move on to the next game, Portland and Houston. This is another really good DFS game. Two pretty fast-paced teams, two teams that don't play much defense either. Starting off on the Portland side, so Nurkic at 8K. I definitely like Nurkic on this slate. I mean, Nurkic has just shown a massive ceiling so far this year, and just as of late, his minutes have been great. He's been playing, low 30s up into the high 30s in minutes most games. They've been using Nurkic a lot on the offensive end. We've seen his scoring go way up. He's been rebounding a ton. He's just been stuffing the stat sheet. Nurkic has always been a really good point per minute player, and now that he's consistently playing big minutes, I think Nurkic offers a lot of upside in a really good matchup against Houston. Really like Nurkic today. Really like CJ McCollum as well. I was on CJ McCollum last slate, and it didn't really go well. I mean, he was solid, but had 37 DK points and 36 minutes against Dallas. I mean, I still think CJ McCollum at 7,300 is too cheap right now for, life without Damian Lillard. Without Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum's still going to be, one of the number one scoring, or he's going to probably be the number one scoring option on this team. Probably going to take like 15, 20 shots a game. Should have the ball in his hands a decent amount as well. Matchup's fantastic against Houston. Really like CJ McCollum in the mid-range at guard today. I think he's one of my favorite guard options along with LaMelo. Then on Yahoo, if you want to play CJ McCollum over there, $30. Like him quite a bit on Yahoo as well. Then you got some other guys we could definitely look to target, like Anthony Simons at 6,800. I'm fine with. Simons, between Simons or McCollum, I do prefer McCollum just because I think long-term McCollum's going to be a better point-per-minute player. But Simons has still been solid even with McCollum back in the lineup. He's still been putting up decent games against Houston, and it's such a good matchup like this. It wouldn't be surprising to see Simons do well today. But Norman Powell, I do like quite a bit. So 6,100 for Norman Powell. That's probably too cheap right now for the fact that he's getting back to his normal minutes. On Yahoo, he's $24. I think you can definitely play him over there as well. So last game, we did see Norman Powell get back up to 36 minutes. In his first game back from COVID protocols, he only played 26 minutes. They brought him off the bench. He was clearly limited. Last game, he played 36 minutes, had 34 DraftKings points. I'm expecting Norman Powell no longer on a minutes restriction, so we're going to get like 35, 36 minutes from him today. Last game, he didn't even shoot the ball that well. 29% from the field, 22% from three, and he still scored 34 DK points now. He had 9 rebounds. I don't know if we can expect that many boards from Powell, but clearly the guy's going to be productive when he's on the floor. He's been a really productive player this year, especially without Damian Lillard. There's just so much usage available when Lillard's off the floor for a guy like Norman Powell to benefit. And 6,100, I mean, we were paying like over 7K for this guy not too long ago. Now, I know then, CJ McCollum was out, but still, I think 6,100 for Norman Powell and a really good matchup against Houston, expecting him to play, mid to high 30s minutes. He does stand out as a pretty good play today, like him quite a bit. Nasir Little's out as well, so like the minutes should definitely be there for Powell with Little out too. Robert Covington, I think, he's questionable. I think there's a lot of guys questionable. Robert Covington's questionable. Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable. And CJ Elleby is doubtful. So, yeah, Portland could be really shorthanded here, especially if Covington, Smith Jr., and Elleby all sit. Then it's going to be guys like Trent Wofford and Tony Snell that are getting minutes. And like I don't know how, or Trendon Watford, I don't know how much these, or how much Chauncey Billups really wants to play these guys. So we could just see like massive minutes for the starters if, there's no Covington, if there's no Dennis Smith Jr., if there's no CJ Ellaby, because I don't know really, how many of these bench guys he wants to play. I think he's going to have a lot of minutes for his starters. You're going to see, 35, 36, 37 minutes for guys like McCollum, Powell, Nurkic, Simons. So all those guys are in play for me in what is a really good matchup. But let's move on to the Houston side now. So talking about Houston, I mean, I think Christian Wood and KPJ are both in play today. It's a pretty good matchup for them as well. Portland, again, not been that good defensively this year. I think this is a game that just, we should see a lot of DFS points, a lot of points scored in general. Should be a close game as well. 8,200 for Christian Wood. I think the price tag's probably where it should be, but in this type of matchup, in a good game environment, I think Christian Wood offers plenty of upside. Definitely would rather go to Nurkic on the other side of this game, but I think Wood's fine. KPJ, I think, offers a lot of upside here against Portland. Like defensively against guards this year, Simon, CJ McCollum, neither one of those guys are good defenders at all. So I think it's definitely a sneaky good spot for Kevin Porter Jr. I think on an 11-game slate, he's really not going to get any ownership. His minutes have been pretty high as well. Him and Christian Wood have started to see, 34, 35, 36 minutes in close games. And I think if this game stays close, we'll get, mid to high 30s minutes from KPJ in a good matchup, in a fast-paced game. I think KPJ offers a lot of upside. I do like him as a lower-owned tournament play today. Don't think I'm going to go to any other guys from Houston, though. I think it's really just like Christian Wood and KPJ for me. That's probably it. Next game, though, Utah and Memphis. So looking at Utah today, still without Rudy Gobert, and Donovan Mitchell is currently questionable. Donovan Mitchell, if he plays, I don't have a ton of interest in, but if he comes back, that's going to basically take guys like Jordan Clarkson and Mike Conley out of play for me. Hassan Whiteside, though, I do still have a good amount of interest in. So 6,900 for Whiteside on DK. On Yahoo, he's pretty affordable over on Yahoo. I like him quite a bit over there. $23 for Whiteside. We've seen so far when Gobert's been out, like Whiteside, or not Gobert, but Whiteside's minutes have been pretty good. I mean, last game he played 34 minutes. The game before that, 33, 34. Basically, the last 3 games he started, he's played at least 33 minutes in 3 straight games. Whiteside normally has been a pretty good per-minute player. Now, in some of these starts, he's not produced at the rate that we expect him to, but I think the ceiling is still there for Whiteside. He can score around the rim. He can get rebounds. Obviously, he's a big guy. He's a really good rebounder. He can block shots as well. The matchup against Steven Adams, I'm not really that worried about. So I think Hassan Whiteside, if he does play 34, 35 minutes, like he offers big-time upside. At 6,900, like I don't know how much ownership he really gets at this price tag. I think the price has gotten to a point where he's not just like a lock and load anymore. You kind of have to think, like, do you want to play him? I think Whiteside still offers the upside to be worth 6,900. So I definitely like Whiteside on this slate. Probably one of my favorite plays from Utah. Don't think I'm really going to anyone else on Utah, though, especially if Donovan Mitchell returns. It's probably just Whiteside for me here. If Mitchell is out again, I mean, sure, you could go to Clarkson and Conley, but they're priced to where they should be. Same with Bojan, same with Ingles. I don't see too much I like from Utah outside of Whiteside. And then on the Memphis side, so John Morant, 10-3. I mean, John Morant's starting to get up there in price, but, like, he's just been so freaking good lately. I mean, you look at the last 4 games for Ja, 67, 56, 60, and 64 DraftKings points. He's playing an absurd amount of minutes. I mean, he's playing, like, 37, 38 minutes a night. The matchup against Utah, I don't think it's, like, great or anything, but for what it's worth, I mean, Ja put up 52 fantasy points in 36 minutes against them earlier this year while shooting 9 for 30 from the field. Ja has basically been matchup proof lately. I mean, even in some tough spots against a good Bucks team, 67 DK points, he's just been matchup proof. So I think Ja Morant on this slate, I mean, he's probably one of the better pay-up options. He's definitely towards the top of my list, even with the price tag coming up. Outside of Ja Morant, like, I don't see too much else I like on Memphis. Triple J, Desmond Bane, they're like okay options, but I don't think they stand out. Steven Adams, they're probably going to want him out there to defend a big guy like Whiteside. So maybe you get like 30 minutes from Steven Adams today. But again, like I don't think he really stands out even if he plays 30 minutes. It's probably just Ja Morant for me, and that's really it from this Memphis team. So we can go ahead and move on to the next game, the Clippers and the Heat. So looking at the Clippers today, I mean, they have got to be like the most frustrating team in the league right now. They have a lot of guys out. Obviously, Kawhi, PG out. Marcus Morris is out as well. So like there's going to be some guys that you want to roster, but man, like we just seen the rotations be so out of whack. The minutes have been so out of whack. Reggie Jackson, you would think with all these guys out would really benefit, but like the last 2 games, he has just been god-awful. So like I don't have much confidence in Reggie Jackson right now. Nicholas Batum never really offers any upside, so I don't want to pay $5,500 for him. Amir Coffey at $5,400, like his minutes have been pretty secure, and he's been playing really well. So like I think Amir Coffey is one of my go-to guys from the Clippers if I had to pick anyone here. Like if he does play 35, 36 minutes, I mean, he has been decent on a per-minute basis this year, and especially without Morris, Kawhi, PG, like he should be pretty productive. So I think Amir Coffey's in play at 5,400. I do want to talk about Terrence Mann. So Terrence Mann has been starting in place of Marcus Morris. Last 2 games he has started, he's played 32 and 27 minutes, 33 and 20 DraftKings points. The price tag at 4K, I think is still cheap enough to where Terrence Mann does stand out as a pretty decent value play today, because I'm assuming he will start and probably play like low 30s minutes. The matchup against Miami is obviously not ideal, but 4K Terrence Mann, if we expect him to play like 30 minutes here, I think he's a viable cheap option. That's probably it, though, from the Clippers. Like, I don't really want to be going to guys like Luke Kennard or Eric Bledsoe. The minutes have just been too tough to predict. Like, Kennard's been getting good minutes lately, but does he get 30, 32 minutes today? Like, I really have no idea. I think if he's shooting the ball well and if he's playing well, they'll play him big minutes. But, like, the minutes have just been so out of whack for, like, the regular starters that, you know, if these guys play their normal minutes, that's probably taken away from guys like Kennard and Bledsoe and, you know, some of these other guys that we really, you know, probably aren't going to consider anyway. So, the Clippers are a team I really just want to avoid, but if I had to pick someone here to play, it probably will be Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, my 2 favorite guys to go to from the Clippers. Then on the Miami side, looking at the Heat, so big news with Miami, Jimmy Butler currently questionable. I mean, this is definitely slate-altering news. You know, obviously Kyle Lowry is still out for Miami, so if Jimmy were to sit, that would make Bam look like a great play. That would make Tyler Hero look like a great play. The rest of Miami, like Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, I don't know if they would be like great value plays, but they would at least be viable. The 2 guys that would really benefit, though, would be Bam and Hero. And I think Bam and Hero would both be 2 of the better plays on this slate if Jimmy winds up sitting. Now, if Jimmy plays, I think Jimmy himself at 8,700 looks solid. He'll probably play, you know, mid to high 30s minutes if this game is close. 8,700, I think, is still a little bit too cheap for Jimmy, especially with him starting at point guard right now. His peripheral upside is, you know, through the roof. He's been getting a lot of rebounds, a lot of assists. Starting at point guard, we know he's going to score. I think Jimmy's definitely in play if he's able to go. Outside of Jimmy, I don't love anything else from Miami. It's really just, we got to wait on Jimmy news because that's, you know, going to totally change my thoughts on this Miami team. Obviously, we talked about who I would really like if Jimmy Butler were to sit, but that's probably it from the Heat. We can go ahead and move on to the next game, talk about Indiana and OKC. So Indiana today, Domantas Sabonis currently questionable. Really big news here. Obviously, guys like Goga and, you know, Torrey Craig, these guys would really be out of play if Sabonis returns. I think Karis LeVert, Chris Duarte would also look a lot less appealing. If Sabonis plays, I don't really like anything on Indiana. Maybe Sabonis could be a guy worth going to. I'd assume that if Sabonis does play today, he'll play his normal minutes. He's only been out for about a week, so I don't think he would really be like on a minutes restriction or anything. It's a good matchup. It's OKC. I think Sabonis' upside without Miles Turner, without Malcolm Brogdon is massive. So I would have some interest in Sabonis today if he plays. If he doesn't play, then yeah, we can consider guys like Karis LeVert, Goga Batadze. I will say that like last slate, I had a lot of interest in LeVert, and he was super disappointing, got in major foul trouble. I mean, LeVert's ceiling, I think, is still there. Like, I still think he has a lot of upside when Sabonis, Turner, and Brogdon are all out. But he's 8,800. It's not like you're getting much of a discount on him. I think he's priced to where he should be, but you know, LeVert would be playable if Sabonis remains out. Same with Goga. But the Pacers are not a team I love just because the pricing has kind of adjusted to a point where I don't think anyone really stands out anymore, especially if Sabonis returns. That would basically put me off all the Pacers today. Then on the OKC side, I mean, OKC, like, this is not a team I really ever get excited to roster. And on this slate with 11 games, I'm just not going to really play any Thunder. If you want to play someone from OKC, you're probably looking to SGA. Like, SGA is probably your best bet. But I don't think SGA really stands out today when you have just so many other pay-up options. So, in general, the OKC is a team I'll just probably be avoiding. Next game, though, Denver and New Orleans. So, looking at Denver today, I think Denver is pretty straightforward for me. It's just Jokic, and that's really it. And Jokic, obviously, like any slate Jokic is on, he's a very, very good pay-up option. Now, Jokic is coming off a disappointing game against Brooklyn in a matchup where he should have done really well. Only scored 54 DK points, but, you know, I don't really care. Like, Jokic just has so much freaking upside. Against the Pelicans, against J-Val, like, I don't think this is a bad spot for Jokic. He went for 72 DraftKings points against the Pelicans earlier this year. I think Jokic is a top play for sure. He's always in play and always one of the better pay-up options to any slate he's on. Outside of Jokic, though, I don't love anything else from Denver. Maybe Will Barton at 5,500 you could go to. I think he's okay at this price point. Had a really good game last game against Brooklyn. I think one of the reasons that Jokic didn't do as good was just because Will Barton played really, really well. You know, 5,500 for Will Barton is pretty cheap. The only issue with Will Barton is that he's just been so inconsistent this season. He'll have a good game, then he'll have a shit game, then he'll have a good game. If I had to play anyone from Denver outside of Jokic, Will Barton would for sure be my second favorite play, though, from this Nuggets team. And I think at this price point, like, he actually does stand out as a solid option. But that's it for Denver. We can move on to New Orleans now. So New Orleans, Another team, a lot of question marks right now. Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart are both questionable. Obviously, this is injury news that really matters, because if both these guys are out, it's going to make Devontae Graham look like a really good option. It's going to make a guy like Nickeil Alexander-Walker potentially look like a really good value play. Obviously, Nickeil Alexander-Walker was a great play last slate and crushed. With everyone out, Josh Hart, J-Val, Ingram, Devontae Graham, they were all out last game, and NAW played 37 minutes, was great, had 47 DK points. I would guess that if Ingram and Hart are out again, they might start NAW again. So, like, if NAW starts, I think he's going to be a really good value play. I think, Devontae Graham would be a really good play if Hart and Ingram are both out. If they play, then I don't think there's a ton that stands out from New Orleans, outside of maybe J-Val. Like, I think J-Val is going to have to play a ton of minutes here. Last time these teams played against Jokic, J-Val did play 39 minutes. Now, I think that game did go to overtime, if I'm mistaken, but yeah, 39 minutes from J-Val last time these teams played. Like, he's probably going to match Jokic's minutes. I don't think they want Willie Hernan-Gomez or Jackson Hayes out there guarding Jokic. So I think if Jokic plays 36 minutes today, that might mean J-Val plays 36 minutes. We know J-Val's a really productive player when he does get minutes. If he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he offers a lot of upside at 7,900. So J-Val definitely my favorite play from this Pelicans team. Obviously, if Ingram and Hart sit, J-Val would look even better. And those other guys we talked about would look like pretty good plays as well if Ingram and Hart are out. The next game, Chicago and San Antonio. So Chicago today, I don't see too much I really like here. The Bulls, they're missing Lonzo still. They're missing Alex Caruso still. But the pricing, I think, has gotten to a point where nobody really stands out. I think if I had to play any Bull today, it would probably be Zach LaVine. He would be my favorite option. Just at 8,300, I think he's the most underpriced of the three main guys. Vooch is really expensive, almost close to 10K, so I don't really like Vooch that much. I think DeRozan, closely priced to LaVine is fine, but I would probably rather play LaVine. I mean, if this game is close, like LaVine, he is going to play like 35, close to 38 minutes. The Spurs do play really fast. They've been one of the faster-paced teams this season. It's a pretty good matchup for LaVine. So if I had to play a Bull today, I think Zach LaVine would be my favorite option. Outside of LaVine, I don't see too much else I like from Chicago. And then on the San Antonio side, Dejounte Murray, 10K. I mean, I think Dejounte Murray is a pretty good pay-up option here. Dejounte Murray's just been so freaking good this year. He's playing so many minutes in close games. He's stuffing the stat sheet. Triple-double almost every night. Like the last 4 or 5 games, you've gotten triple-double in 3 out of the last 5 games for Dejounte Murray. Just has massive upside at 10K. I still think he's a strong pay-up option. He's right there with guys like John Morant. Some of these other pay-up options we talked about, Jokic. I really like Dejounte Murray on this slate. For sure, my favorite play from San Antonio. I think Jakob Poeltl as a mid-range center option makes some sense. Like, Jakob Poeltl's been really good lately, been really consistent. He's playing big minutes as well. In close games, Poeltl's been playing like mid to high 30s minutes. I think at 6,400, like, Poeltl's probably too cheap if we expect him to play, 35, 36 minutes. He's put up at least 37 Draftkings points now in 5 straight games. Been super, super consistent. So definitely like Jakob Poeltl as well. Probably it, though, from San Antonio. I think Murray and Poeltl are the 2 guys that stand out most. No one else I really have a ton of interest in. So next game, Minnesota and Phoenix. So Minnesota today, another team we're going to have to watch the injury report. D'Angelo Russell and Patrick Beverley are both questionable. D'Angelo Russell got injured in Thursday's game and did not return, so I think there's a pretty good possibility he doesn't play today. Patrick Beverley was doubtful for Thursday, or he was questionable, then he got ruled doubtful and ultimately did not play. So Beverley, we don't know if he's going to play yet. This is, actually pretty big news, because if D'Angelo Russell and Patrick Beverley are both out, I mean, those are their 2 starting guards that would be out. So there would be a lot of minutes for guys like Jalen Noel, Malik Beasley. I think Jalen Noel would be probably one of the better value plays on the slate if Beverley and Russell both sit, because I think Noel would play like mid to high 20s minutes. He might start. He's been really productive when he's gotten minutes this year. So at 4K, I would like Noel a lot for value if he starts. I would like Beasley a good amount too, because I think he would play a lot off the bench if Beverley and Russell both sit. If Beverley and Russell play, then there's not too much I like from Minnesota. Beverley at 4,300, they're probably going to want his defense out there guarding CP3 and Booker. So I think if Beverley does play today, he probably plays like 30 minutes. He's been a decent point per minute player this year, and he's only 4,300. So I think Beverley would actually be a decent value play today if he's able to go. Cat, Anthony Edwards, on this slate, they're nothing more than tournament options. I will say that Cat, going up against Bismack Biyombo, I think Cat can definitely dominate here. He did have a great game Thursday against the Warriors. Again, on an 11-game slate, I don't think Cat's like a standout play, but he's at least viable. But that's probably it for Minnesota. I think we really talked about everyone here. On the other side, looking at Phoenix, so, Devin Booker, Chris Paul. Devin Booker specifically has just been amazing lately. His usage has just been absurd. Like, he's been taking a ton of shots. You look at his field goal attempts these last few games, 28, 35, 33. Like, he's just chucking when he's on the court right now. I don't know if it's because DeAndre Ayton's out or what, but, man, Booker's usage has just been absurd. He's been playing a ton of minutes as well, at least 38 minutes in 4 straight games. 9,900, that's a price tag we're not really used to paying for Booker, but, man, he's just been so good lately. The usage has just been so absurd that I think Booker's a decent option. Now, you have guys like Dejounte Murray, Ja Morant that are priced closely to Booker. I think I'd still rather play those guys over Booker, but Booker is at least viable just because of how absurd his role has been as of late. Chris Paul as well has been playing a ton of minutes. 37 minutes last game for Chris Paul. I think without Cameron Payne, like, they're really relying on Chris Paul a ton. He's playing a lot more minutes than he has, to start the season at 9K. I mean, if we get like 37 minutes from Chris Paul today, he can definitely pay off a 9K price tag. Now, between Booker or Paul, probably side with Booker, but on this slate, I don't think either one are like standout plays. I think they're just more like tournament options. Bismack Biyombo should start at center once again, probably plays around 30 minutes. Last game he played 29 minutes, had 27 DK points. I do worry about the matchup with Cat, getting into some foul trouble. Cat is a guy that does draw a lot of fouls. We see centers get in foul trouble all the time against Cat. It happened on Thursday with Kevon Looney. So there's definitely some foul trouble risk here with Bismack, but I think if the game's close, if he's not in foul trouble, he probably plays like 30, 32 minutes. He's been a good producer this year with the Suns. He's averaged around a fantasy point per minute. Like, I think at 5,800, Bismack Biyombo still looks like a solid center option. Not really that interested in Mikal Bridges, but I do want to talk about Cam Johnson once again. So 4,700 for Cam Johnson on Draftkings. On Yahoo, he's not as cheap over there, but I think at his price tag on Yahoo, he probably doesn't get much ownership. So $21 on Yahoo. I do like Cam Johnson as a tournament play over there. We've seen the last 2 games without Jay Crowder. Cam Johnson has started both games, and he's played huge minutes, 38 and 36 minutes, 35 and 23 Draftkings points. Now, Cam Johnson has never been like an amazing point per minute player. He's not going to do a ton outside of shoot threes and get rebounds, but I mean, when he's out there, he's going to be out there to shoot. He's a really good shooter. He's a really efficient shooter. Against Utah, 7 for 12 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3. Last game only shot 3 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, but was able to grab 7 rebounds to go along with a assist, a block, and a steal. I mean, at 4,700, like, if we project Cam Johnson to play mid to high 30s minutes, I think he still projects out as a decent value. We'll have to wait and see what other value opens up as the day goes on, but I think as a first look value play, I'm fine plugging in Cam Johnson for now. I think at 4,700, like, he still has the upside to pay off this price tag, especially with how many minutes they are giving him right now with Jay Crowder out. But that's really it for Phoenix. We can go ahead and talk about the last game of the night, the Knicks and the Bucks. So this is not that appealing of a game, honestly. On the Knicks side, I don't see too much I really like here. Tough spot on the road against Milwaukee. I think there's a little bit of blowout risk in this game as well, just because the Knicks have been playing so bad as of late. Julius Randle is just nothing more than like a low-owned dart throw. I want to say that he's had some really big games against the Bucks in the past, but like on this slate, I don't think Randle really stands out. Same with R.J. Barrett, same with Kemba Walker. Like, there's just nothing I really like from the Bucks or from the Knicks today. They're probably one of the least appealing teams on the slate, in my opinion. And then on the Bucks side, Giannis always in play. I think on this slate, like, Giannis is obviously a fine pay-up option. I don't think he stands out compared to guys like Jokic. You have Ja Morant for cheaper. You have Dejounte Murray for cheaper. You could potentially have like LeBron playing without AD. You could have Westbrook playing without LeBron and AD. Like, there's just going to be so many other pay-up options, I think, that I'd rather go to. But, Giannis can go out there and crush any night. The Knicks have not been as good defensively this season as they were last season. I think Giannis can definitely have success here. It's just that on this slate, specifically at his price point, he doesn't stand out as like a priority spend-up option, especially with, the Bucks being pretty much fully healthy right now. They're still missing Brook Lopez, but Drew's back, Middleton's healthy, Portis is healthy. I don't see a ton I like from the Bucks outside of Giannis. Middleton and Drew, I don't think really stand out. Bobby Portis, I don't really ever play when Giannis is healthy. That's probably it. It's really just Giannis here, and I think that's it for this Bucks team. So yeah, guys, that's all. 11 games for today. Big slate, obviously, but I wanted to go through this slate. Wanted to give you guys kind of my early thoughts, what I do like taking a look at this slate on Thursday night. Now, again, guys, I will be going to the Lakers-Hornets game on Friday, so I will not be live streaming Friday. But I still wanted to get a video up, still wanted to give you guys my thoughts on this slate. Hope you did enjoy the video, though. I do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, please do hit the like button down below, guys. Hit the subscribe button as well if you have not yet. Go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Again, if you want to sign up for PrizePicks, use code NOAH when you do, and PrizePicks will give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. You can take a look at PrizePicks board for Friday night's NBA games. They'll have a ton posted, probably Friday morning as we get closer to tip-off Friday night. You'll see their full board posted, all their projections. You take over or under, you have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks, and you can win up to 10 extra money on prize picks. So go check them out, sign up, use code NOAH when you do, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But that's it for this big Friday night slate, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you did enjoy. Have a good weekend, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.